Welcome to this peaceful journey through time. Find yourself in a comfortable position. Allow your body to sink into softness, and let your breathing become slow and natural. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it gently for a moment, and release it slowly through your mouth. Feel the tension melting away from your shoulders, your arms, your entire body. Tonight, we will drift together through the mists of time, back to the sun-drenched hills of ancient Greece, where olive trees shimmer in golden light, and marble columns reach toward azure skies. We will discover 20 beautiful secrets of this remarkable civilization, secrets that have been whispered through the ages, waiting patiently to be shared with you. Breathe in slowly, and imagine the gentle Mediterranean breeze, carrying with it the wisdom of philosophers, the songs of poets, and the dreams of a people who gave the world so much beauty. Let your mind become like calm water, reflecting the ancient temples, the rolling hills dotted with cypress trees, and the endless blue horizon. As we journey together, you will learn about the sacred rituals performed under starlit skies, the ingenious inventions that changed the world forever, and the timeless stories that still inspire us today. Each secret will unfold like a flower blooming in the morning sun, gentle, peaceful, and filled with wonder. Feel your breathing deepen naturally, as we prepare to walk the marble paths of the Acropolis, to sit in the shade of ancient agoras, and to listen to the echoes of voices that spoke of democracy, art, and the pursuit of knowledge. Your body is completely relaxed now, your mind is calm and receptive, ready to absorb these ancient mysteries. The secrets we will explore together span across centuries, from the earliest Greek settlements to the height of Athenian glory. Each revelation will wash over you like gentle waves, bringing peace, understanding, and a deep connection to this extraordinary civilization that flourished thousands of years ago. Let go of the present moment, release any worries or thoughts that may linger, and allow yourself to be transported, to become one with the eternal spirit of ancient Greece. Breathe deeply, and let the journey begin. Chapter 1. The Acropolis, Sacred Heights of Athens. Let your breathing slow and deepen, as we begin our ascent up the sacred hill of the Acropolis. Feel your feet upon the ancient marble steps, worn smooth by millions of pilgrims over 25 centuries. Each step carries you higher, away from the bustling agora below, toward the realm of the gods. The morning sun casts long shadows across the Propylaea, the magnificent gateway that has welcomed visitors since 437 BCE. Notice how the Pentelic marble seems to glow with an inner light, its surface kissed by golden rays. The same stone that Pericles chose, believing that only the finest materials were worthy of honoring Athena, goddess of wisdom and protector of Athens. As you pass through the towering columns, breathe in the crisp mountain air, scented with wild thyme and rosemary that grows between the ancient stones. The gentle Mediterranean breeze carries whispers of prayers offered here for over 2 millennia. Feel the profound silence that settles over this sacred space, broken only by the distant call of seabirds soaring above the Aegean. Before you rises the Parthenon, perhaps the most perfect building ever created by human hands. Its 46 outer columns stand in mathematical harmony, each one slightly curved to create the illusion of perfect straightness when viewed from below. The architects Ictinus and Callicrates understood that true beauty lies in subtle imperfection, in the gentle corrections that please the human eye. Walk slowly around this temple to Athena Parthenos, and imagine the 40-foot-tall statue of gold and ivory that once stood within, created by the master sculptor Phidias. Her shield bore scenes of Amazons in battle, her helmet was crowned with a sphinx, and her eyes seemed to follow worshippers as they offered their devotions. The statue contained over a ton of pure gold, a testament to Athens' wealth and devotion. To your left stands the elegant Erechtheion, with its famous porch of the maidens. 6 graceful caryatids, sculpted women who serve as living columns, support the marble roof with quiet dignity. Each maiden is unique, her peplos draped differently, her weight shifted in a natural pose. They have stood here for over 2,000 years, guardians of the sacred olive tree that Athena gifted to Athens. Breathe deeply and feel the spiritual energy that permeates this hilltop. This was never merely a collection of buildings, but a carefully orchestrated symphony in stone, designed to inspire awe and reverence. The ancient Athenians believed that beauty itself was a form of worship, that perfect proportions could lift the human soul closer to the divine. As twilight approaches, watch how the marble seems to absorb the changing light, shifting from brilliant white to warm honey, then to soft rose and purple. The same transformation witnessed by Socrates and Plato, by poets and philosophers who found inspiration in these sacred heights. Let this timeless beauty wash over you, connecting you to the eternal spirit of human aspiration. Rest here in peaceful contemplation, as we prepare to descend from these sacred heights, and continue our gentle journey through the mysteries of ancient Greece. Chapter 2. The Parthenon, Temple of Athena. Let your breathing become even more gentle, as we approach the crown jewel of the Acropolis, the magnificent Parthenon. Feel yourself drawn toward this temple that has stood for nearly 25 centuries, its white Pentelic marble gleaming like captured moonlight against the deep blue Athenian sky. Run your fingers along the smooth columns, each one carved with mathematical precision. Notice how they are not perfectly straight, but subtly curved, swelling slightly in the middle like a gentle breath. This technique, called entasis, creates an optical illusion that makes the columns appear perfectly vertical from a distance. The ancient architects understood that the human eye seeks harmony, and they crafted this temple to please both mind and soul. Step closer to the eastern facade, where the morning sun first kisses the marble. Here, the triangular pediment once displayed a magnificent sculpture, showing the birth of Athena, springing fully grown from the head of Zeus. Imagine the vibrant colors that once adorned these stones, deep blues and rich golds, crimson reds and forest greens. The Greeks believed that beauty without color was incomplete, and every surface told a story in brilliant hues. Walk slowly around the temple's perimeter, counting the 46 outer columns, each one standing 17 feet apart. The spacing follows the golden ratio, that perfect mathematical relationship found throughout nature, in seashells and flower petals, in the spiral of galaxies. The Parthenon embodies this divine proportion, creating a sense of rightness that speaks directly to the human heart. Pause at the western entrance, and imagine the massive bronze doors that once opened to reveal the sacred interior. Within stood the colossal statue of Athena Parthenos, her skin carved from ivory, her robes fashioned from removable gold plates. In times of financial crisis, Athens could melt down portions of their goddess, knowing that her spiritual presence transcended any material form. She held a 6-foot statue of Nike, goddess of victory, in her right hand, while her left rested upon her shield. Listen to the gentle wind whistling through the columns, carrying echoes of ancient hymns. The Panathenaic procession passed this way every 4 years, bringing Athena a new peplos, a sacred robe woven by the women of Athens. Young maidens carried baskets of offerings, while athletes and warriors displayed their strength. The entire city participated in honoring their patron goddess, creating a bond between mortal and divine. Notice how the temple seems to float above its 3-stepped platform, the stylobate. Each step is perfectly level, despite the natural slope of the Acropolis. The builders moved thousands of tons of marble, fitting each block so precisely that no mortar was needed. Metal clamps and dowels, sealed with molten lead, hold the structure together, allowing it to flex with earthquakes and weather, while maintaining its eternal strength. Feel the profound silence that surrounds this sacred space, broken only by the distant sound of waves against Piraeus harbor. The same Aegean waters that brought trade and prosperity to Athens, funding the construction of this architectural masterpiece. Pericles declared that the Parthenon would make Athens the envy of all Greece, a monument to democracy, wisdom, and artistic achievement. As shadows lengthen across the marble floor, imagine the golden hour when ancient worshippers gathered here, their white chittons rustling in the evening breeze. the scent of burning incense mingling with wild herbs growing between the stones. This was more than a building, it was a prayer made manifest in marble, a testament to humanity's highest aspirations. Breathe slowly, and let the timeless serenity of this sacred temple settle into your soul. Chapter 3. Delphi. Oracle's whispers let your spirit drift gently away from Athens, carried on soft mountain winds, toward the sacred slopes of Mount Parnassus, where ancient pilgrims journeyed seeking wisdom from the gods. Feel yourself ascending the winding stone path, through groves of silver-leafed olive trees, their branches whispering secrets in the Mediterranean breeze. Here lies Delphi, the navel of the ancient world, where Apollo's oracle spoke prophecies that shaped the destiny of nations. Breathe deeply, and smell the wild thyme and rosemary that carpet these sacred hillsides. The same aromatic herbs that perfumed the air when kings and commoners alike climbed this holy mountain, seeking guidance from the Pythia. Apollo's chosen priestess, notice how the limestone cliffs rise majestically around you, creating a natural amphitheater where the voices of gods seem to echo from stone to stone. Follow the sacred way, the marble-paved road that winds upward through terraces of ancient treasuries. Each city-state built these small temples to house their offerings to Apollo. The Athenian treasury, constructed entirely of gleaming Parian marble, commemorated their victory at Marathon, while the Siphonian treasury displayed friezes of mythical battles between gods and giants, carved with such delicate precision that each warrior's expression tells a story of divine conflict. Pause at the Castalian spring, where crystal-clear water bubbles from the living rock. This sacred fountain was believed to inspire prophetic visions, and all who sought the oracle's wisdom first purified themselves in these blessed waters. Cup your hands and drink deeply, feeling the cool mountain water cleanse your spirit. The same spring that refreshed Socrates, Alexander the Great, and countless seekers of truth across the centuries. Approach now the Temple of Apollo, its 6 surviving Doric columns standing like sentinels against the azure sky. 24 columns once surrounded this sacred sanctuary, each one carved from local limestone and covered with brilliant white stucco. Above the entrance, golden letters proclaimed the gods' commandments, "Know thyself," and "Nothing in excess," wisdom that guided Greek philosophy for 1,000 years. Step carefully into the temple's inner sanctum, the Adyton, where the Pythia delivered her mysterious prophecies. Here, a natural fissure in the earth released sweet-smelling vapors, possibly ethylene gas from underground limestone. The priestess, chosen from among the local women, would seat herself upon the sacred tripod, breathing these intoxicating fumes until divine inspiration seized her consciousness. Listen to the silence that fills this holy space, broken only by the gentle cooing of doves. Apollo's sacred birds, that nested in the temple eaves. The oracle's cryptic utterances were interpreted by priests, who translated her ecstatic words into the hexameter verse that pilgrims carried home. These prophecies influenced crucial decisions, from the founding of colonies to declarations of war, making Delphi the spiritual center of the Greek world. Gaze upward at the theater carved into the mountainside, where every 4 years the Pythian Games celebrated Apollo with music and poetry. The stone seats, worn smooth by countless spectators, could hold 5,000 people who gathered to hear the greatest artists of their age. The acoustics remain perfect, allowing a whisper from the stage to reach the highest row, a testament to Greek understanding of sound and space. Above the theater, the ancient stadium stretches along a natural plateau, where athletes competed in foot races honoring the god of light and music. The starting blocks, carved from single pieces of stone, still bear the grooves where runners placed their feet, dreaming of victory crowns woven from sacred laurel. Apollo's own tree, whose leaves granted immortal fame to champions. As evening mist rises from the valley below, imagine the flickering oil lamps that once illuminated the sacred way. Pilgrims from across the Mediterranean world climbed these paths, carrying questions that weighed upon their hearts. The oracle's wisdom transcended human understanding, connecting mortals to the divine intelligence that governs all existence. Feel the profound peace that emanates from these ancient stones, where for over 1,000 years, humanity sought connection with the Acrid mysteries. Let the mountain silence embrace you, as timeless as the stars that wheel overhead. Breathe slowly, and let the oracle's eternal wisdom settle gently into your dreams. Chapter 4. Olympia, birthplace of the games, let your spirit drift southward, carried on gentle winds across the Peloponnese, to a sacred valley where the Alpheus River meanders through groves of ancient olive trees. Here lies Olympia, birthplace of the Olympic Games, where for over 1,000 years, athletes from across the Greek world gathered to compete in honor of Zeus, king of the gods. Feel the soft grass beneath your feet, still green from the river's blessing, as you enter this hallowed sanctuary of sport and divine worship. Breathe deeply, and smell the wild olive blossoms that perfume the air. The same sacred trees from which victory crowns were cut, simple wreaths that meant more than gold to ancient champions. Notice how the morning light filters through the leaves, creating dancing patterns on the marble ruins below. The Temple of Zeus once dominated this peaceful valley, housing one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, a colossal statue of the god carved by the master sculptor Phidias. Walk slowly along the ancient processional way, where athletes and pilgrims approach the sacred precinct. Your footsteps follow the same path taken by champions whose names echo through history. Milo of Croton, the wrestler who carried a bull on his shoulders. Leonidas of Rhodes, who won 12 Olympic crowns in running events. Each competitor swore a sacred oath before Zeus, promising to compete fairly and honor the gods through their athletic excellence. Pause at the ruins of the Temple of Zeus, where massive Doric columns once supported a roof that seemed to touch the heavens. Within stood Phidias's masterpiece, a 40-foot statue of Zeus seated upon his throne. His skin carved from ivory, his robes fashioned from gleaming gold. In his right hand he held a statue of Nike, goddess of victory, while his left grasped a scepter crowned with an eagle. The god's eyes seemed to follow visitors, radiating divine majesty that left pilgrims breathless with awe. Follow the path to the ancient stadium, passing through the stone tunnel that athletes used for their grand entrance. Feel the excitement that must have filled their hearts, knowing that victory here would bring eternal glory. The stadium track, exactly 1 stade in length, stretches before you like a ribbon of packed earth, bordered by grassy embankments where 40,000 spectators once cheered their heroes. The starting blocks, carved from marble, still bear the grooves where runners positioned their feet. Listen to the gentle murmur of the Alpheus River, flowing past the sacred grove called the Altus. Here stood temples, treasuries, and monuments erected by victorious city-states. The Philippian, a circular marble temple built by Philip of Macedon, housed golden statues of the royal family, including young Alexander, who would one day conquer the known world. Every structure celebrated the Greek ideals of physical excellence, artistic beauty, and divine favor. Rest in the shade of ancient plane trees, their broad leaves rustling in the warm Peloponnesian breeze. Imagine the 5-day festival that transformed this peaceful valley every 4 years. The sacred truce, declared throughout the Greek world, allowed athletes and spectators to travel safely to Olympia. Wars ceased, conflicts paused, as humanity gathered to celebrate the nobility of competition and the glory of human achievement. Visit the workshop of Phidias, where archaeologists discovered the master's tools and ivory fragments from the great statue. Here the sculptor labored for years, creating not just art but a divine presence that inspired reverence for 8 centuries. The building's proportions exactly matched the inner chamber of Zeus's temple, allowing Phidias to perfect every detail before installation. Wander through the ruins of the gymnasium and palaestra, where athletes trained for months before competition. The covered running tracks protected runners from weather, while the wrestling school's courtyard echoed with the sounds of combat sports. Olive oil glistened on muscled bodies as competitors prepared their minds and spirits, understanding that Olympic victory required not just physical strength but moral excellence. As sunset paints the valley in shades of gold and amber, feel the eternal spirit of competition that blessed this sacred ground. The Olympic flame, kindled by the sun's rays focused through a polished mirror, symbolized the divine fire that burns within every human heart, the desire to transcend ordinary limitations and achieve something magnificent. Breathe slowly, and let the timeless Olympic spirit kindle inspiration in your peaceful dreams. Chapter 5. The Agora, marketplace of ideas. Let your spirit return gently to Athens, drifting down from the sacred Acropolis, into the bustling heart of the ancient city. Here lies the Agora, the great marketplace where democracy was born and philosophy first flourished. Feel the smooth marble stones beneath your feet, worn by countless citizens who gathered here to debate, to trade, and to shape the future of civilization. The morning sun casts long shadows between the colonnades, while the scent of fresh bread and olive oil mingles with the fragrance of flowering myrtle. Walk slowly through the Stoa of Attalus, the magnificent covered walkway that sheltered merchants and philosophers alike. Its two-story colonnade stretches nearly 400 feet, providing cool shade from the Mediterranean sun. Notice how the Doric columns on the ground floor support elegant Ionic capitals above, creating a harmony of architectural styles that pleased both eye and spirit. Here Socrates questioned young Athenians, teaching them to examine their beliefs, while merchants from across the known world displayed silks from China, spices from India, and amber from the distant Baltic. Pause at the Tholos, the circular building where the 50 council members took their meals. This sacred rotunda, with its conical roof and ring of Doric columns, served as the beating heart of Athenian democracy. Inside, the eternal flame burned continuously, symbolizing the undying spirit of the city. Citizens chosen by lot served here, making decisions that affected the entire Mediterranean world. The same democratic principles that inspire nations today first took root in this peaceful marble sanctuary. Listen to the echoes of ancient voices as you approach the bema, the speaker's platform carved from living rock. Here Pericles delivered his famous funeral oration, honoring the war dead and celebrating Athenian values. Demosthenes practiced his oratory, placing pebbles in his mouth to overcome his stutter. Citizens gathered in the thousands, their white chitons rustling in the breeze, as they voted on matters of war and peace, justice and law. Breathe deeply near the ruins of the Stoa Poikile, the painted porch, whose walls once displayed masterpieces by the greatest artists of antiquity. Polygnotus painted scenes from the Trojan War, while Mycon depicted the Battle of Marathon. These weren't mere decorations, but visual reminders of Athenian courage and divine favor. Here the Stoic philosophers taught their followers to find peace through virtue, their school taking its name from this very colonnade. Wander through the remains of workshops and taverns, where craftsmen created the pottery, jewelry, and sculptures that spread Greek culture across 3 continents. The ring of hammers on bronze, the scrape of chisels on marble, the gentle hum of conversation, all blended into the symphony of urban life. Slaves and citizens, foreigners and natives, women and men, all mingled in this democratic space where ideas flowed as freely as wine. Rest beside the ancient altar of the 12 gods, the sacred center from which all distances in Attica were measured. This marble sanctuary provided asylum to those seeking protection, while serving as the symbolic heart of the Athenian state. Carved reliefs showed the Olympian deities in their eternal glory, reminding mortals of the divine order that governed human affairs. Feel the presence of history's greatest minds, who walked these same paths. Plato founded his academy nearby, while Aristotle tutored young Alexander in the arts of philosophy and statecraft. The Agora witnessed the trial of Socrates, the reforms of Solon, and the golden age of Pericles. Every stone holds memories of conversations that changed the world. As evening approaches, imagine the oil lamps flickering to life throughout the marketplace. Citizens returning to their homes, carrying the day's news and the eternal questions that define human existence. The Agora never truly slept, for the pursuit of wisdom and justice knows no rest. Let the democratic spirit of this ancient marketplace settle into your consciousness, where every voice mattered, and every citizen could shape destiny. Breathe slowly, and let the wisdom of ages guide you deeper into peaceful dreams. Chapter 6. Gnosis, Palace of the Minotaur. Let your spirit sail gently across the wine-dark Aegean, carried by warm Mediterranean winds, toward the largest of the Greek islands, Crete, where ancient Minoan civilization flourished 3,000 years before our time. Feel the sea spray on your face as you approach the northern shore, where olive groves cascade down hillsides toward harbors that once welcomed ships from Egypt, Syria, and distant lands beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Here lies Gnosis, the legendary palace of King Minos, where myth and history intertwine like golden threads. Step onto the ancient stone pathway, lined with cypress trees that have witnessed millennia pass. The palace complex spreads before you like a small city, its labyrinthine corridors and chambers giving birth to the legend of the Minotaur. Notice how the buildings seem to grow organically from the hillside, their flat roofs and open courtyards designed to capture cooling breezes from the sea. Red columns, tapering downward in the distinctive Minoan style, support frescoed walls that still glow with vibrant colors after 35 centuries. Walk slowly through the grand staircase, marveling at the sophisticated engineering that created this 4-story wonder. Light wells illuminate the interior, while an advanced drainage system carried away rainwater through terracotta pipes. The Minoans understood hydraulics, creating Europe's first flush toilets and running water systems. Their palace was more comfortable than most European castles built 2,000 years later. Pause in the throne room, where the oldest throne in Europe still sits against a wall decorated with griffins. These mythical creatures, part eagle and part lion, symbolized divine protection. Their painted forms seemed to move in the flickering light, just as they did when priestess queens conducted sacred rituals here. The gypsum throne, carved from a single block of stone, has supported rulers whose names are lost to time, yet whose legacy shaped all subsequent Greek civilization. Breathe deeply in the Queen's Megaron, where dolphins dance eternally across painted walls. These graceful sea creatures, rendered in blues and grays that mirror the Aegean waters, create an underwater paradise in the heart of the palace. The Minoans revered the sea, understanding that their prosperity flowed from maritime trade. Their ships carried Cretan pottery, olive oil, and wine to ports throughout the Mediterranean. Follow the corridors decorated with the famous bull-leaping frescoes, where young athletes performed death-defying acrobatics overcharging bulls. These weren't mere entertainments, but sacred rituals honoring the earth-shaking god who dwelt beneath Crete. The graceful figures, painted in the Minoan convention of red-brown men and pale women, seem frozen in eternal motion, their courage and skill celebrating human potential. Wander through the storage magazines, where enormous pathoi, clay jars taller than a person, once held olive oil, wine, and grain. These ceramic vessels, some decorated with rope patterns and spirals, could store enough provisions to feed the palace for years. The wealth of Gnosis came not from conquest, but from peaceful trade and agricultural abundance. The Minoans built no fortifications, trusting in their naval supremacy and diplomatic skills. Visit the workshops where artisans created treasures that amazed the ancient world. Delicate faience figurines of snake goddesses, gold jewelry worked with microscopic precision, and pottery so fine it seems to glow with inner light. The famous Kamari's ware, with its white and red designs on black backgrounds, was prized from Egypt to Sicily, spreading Minoan artistic influence across the civilized world. Rest in the central court, where religious ceremonies and athletic competitions took place under the open sky. This rectangular space, aligned precisely north to south, served as the heart of palace life. Imagine the crowds that gathered here, their colorful clothing rivaling the painted walls, as priests and priestesses performed rituals that ensured the island's prosperity. As twilight settles over the ruins, feel the mysterious presence of Europe's first great civilization. The Minoans left no deciphered written records. Their linear A script still guards its secrets, yet their art speaks eloquently of a people who loved beauty, celebrated nature, and created a society of remarkable sophistication. Their influence shaped the Mycenaeans, who in turn inspired the classical Greeks. Listen to the evening breeze rustling through the reconstructed columns, carrying whispers of ancient ceremonies, sacred dances, and the eternal rhythm of waves against Cretan shores. Breathe slowly, and let the timeless mystery of Gnosis weave its magic through your dreams. Chapter 7. Mycenae, City of Gold. Let your spirit journey northward from Crete, across the shimmering Aegean waters, to the rugged hills of the Argolid, where ancient Mycenae rises like a crown upon its rocky citadel. Feel the Mediterranean sun warming the limestone cliffs, as you approach the legendary city that Homer called rich in gold. Here ruled Agamemnon, king of kings, who led the Greek forces against Troy. The same winds that filled his black ships now carry you gently up the hillside, through groves of wild olive and aromatic herbs. Pass through the famous Lion Gate, Europe's oldest monumental sculpture, where two massive lionesses guard the entrance to this Bronze Age fortress. Their heads, once carved from different stone, have vanished into time, yet their powerful bodies still radiate strength and majesty. Notice how the enormous limestone blocks fit together without mortar, each stone precisely cut and positioned. The Mycenaeans called this Cyclopean masonry, believing only giants could move such massive weights. Walk slowly along the ancient road, worn smooth by Br. On's chariot wheels, that leads upward through the citadel. The defensive walls, built from blocks weighing several tons each, snake around the hilltop like a stone serpent, protecting the royal palace within. These fortifications, 20 feet thick in places, speak of a warlike age when kingdoms rose and fell by the sword, yet they also sheltered a sophisticated civilization that traded with Egypt and the Near East. Breathe deeply as you approach the palace ruins, where archaeologist Heinrich Schliemann discovered treasures that stunned the world. Golden death masks, intricate jewelry, and bronze weapons decorated with scenes of hunting and warfare. The famous Mask of Agamemnon, though actually centuries older than the Trojan War, still captures the imagination with its stern features and hammered gold craftsmanship. These artifacts reveal a society obsessed with honor, glory, and the afterlife. Descend carefully into the treasury of Atreus, the magnificent beehive tomb built for a Mycenaean king. The corbelled dome, constructed without mortar from precisely cut stones, soars 43 feet overhead, creating a space both monumental and intimate. For over 3 millennia, this architectural marvel has defied earthquakes and time, its acoustic properties allowing whispers to carry clearly from wall to wall. Imagine the funeral processions that wound through these chambers, bearing kings to their eternal rest surrounded by golden treasures. Listen to the silence that fills the royal grave circle, where Schliemann unearthed 19 bodies adorned with 15 pounds of gold. Diadems, breastplates, and ceremonial weapons accompany these Bronze Age nobles into the afterlife. The craftsmanship rivals anything produced in classical Greece, revealing artistic traditions that flourished when Athens was merely a village. Each artifact tells stories of a heroic age when gods walked among mortals. Rest near the ruins of the Megaron, the great hall where Mycenaean kings held court. Here bards sang of heroic deeds while nobles feasted on wine and roasted meat. The central hearth, surrounded by 4 columns supporting the roof, provided both warmth and sacred focus. Clay tablets inscribed with linear B script, the earliest form of written Greek, record inventories of chariots, livestock, and tribute from subject territories. Gaze across the Argive plain, where olive groves stretch toward distant mountains. The same landscape that witnessed the departure of Agamemnon's fleet, 1,000 ships sailing toward their destiny at Troy. From this commanding height, Mycenaean lookouts could spot approaching enemies or returning heroes. Signal fires carried messages across the peaks, linking this citadel to a network of Bronze Age kingdoms. Wander through the lower town, where merchants and craftsmen lived in the shadow of the royal fortress. Workshops produced pottery, textiles, and metalwork that reached markets throughout the Mediterranean. The Mycenaeans were traders as well as warriors, their distinctive stirrup jars carrying olive oil and wine to Egypt, Cyprus, and the Levantine coast. Their influence helped shape the cultural foundations of classical Greece. As evening mist rises from the valleys below, feel the weight of 3,000 years of history. The Mycenaean world collapsed around 1200 BCE, its palaces burned and abandoned, its writing system forgotten. Yet the memory of this heroic age lived on in epic poetry, inspiring Homer to sing of Achilles and Hector, of honor and glory that transcend mortal life. The golden treasures of Mycenae remind us that human creativity and ambition burn as brightly as precious metal, creating legacies that outlast kingdoms and empires. Breathe slowly, and let the golden dreams of ancient heroes illuminate your peaceful rest. Chapter 8. Epidaurus, Theater of Healing. Let your spirit drift gently through the pine-scented hills of the Peloponnese, to a sacred valley where ancient Greeks sought healing for both body and soul. Here lies Epidaurus, sanctuary of Asclepios, god of medicine, where the world's most perfect theater rises from the hillside like a marble amphitheater carved by the gods themselves. Feel the soft Mediterranean breeze carrying the fragrance of wild thyme and rosemary, as you approach this timeless place where drama and healing intertwined in sacred harmony. Walk slowly up the ancient stone steps, worn smooth by countless pilgrims who journeyed here seeking miraculous cures. The Theater of Epidaurus, built in the 4th century BCE by architect Polykleitos the Younger, demonstrates Greek mastery of acoustics and geometry. Notice how the 55 tiers of limestone seats curve in perfect symmetry, creating a space where 14,000 spectators could hear a whisper from the stage. Drop a coin in the orchestra, and listen as the sound carries clearly to the highest row, a testament to mathematical precision that modern engineers still admire. Breathe deeply in the circular orchestra, where ancient actors performed tragedies and comedies that explored the deepest mysteries of human existence. The marble altar at the center, dedicated to Dionysus, god of theater and transformation, reminds us that drama was sacred ritual, not mere entertainment. Here Sophocles' Oedipus Rex, Euripides' Medea, and Aristophanes' comedies first moved audiences to tears and laughter. The same emotions that connect us across 25 centuries descend toward the ruins of the sanctuary of Asclepios, where medicine and spirituality merged in holistic healing. The sacred precinct, shaded by ancient plane trees, once housed temples, healing chambers, and dormitories for pilgrims. Patients underwent ritual purification in sacred springs, their bodies cleansed with mountain water blessed by the god. The scent of burning incense, mixed with medicinal herbs, created an atmosphere of divine presence and hope. Rest beside the foundations of the Abaton, the sacred dormitory where patients slept, hoping for healing dreams sent by Asclepios. The god, often accompanied by his sacred serpents, would appear in visions, prescribing treatments or performing miraculous cures. Marble tablets, inscribed with testimonials of grateful patients, lined the temple walls, recording recoveries from blindness, paralysis, and countless ailments that seemed beyond human remedy. Listen to the gentle murmur of the sacred spring, whose mineral-rich waters were believed to possess curative properties. Pilgrims bathed in these blessed pools, their faith combining with natural healing elements. The Greeks understood that wellness required harmony between mind, body, and spirit. Their physicians, trained in the Asclepian schools, combined rational medicine with spiritual healing, creating treatments that addressed the whole person. Wander through the remains of the gymnasium and stadium, where physical exercise complemented medical treatment. The Greeks believed that healthy bodies required regular movement and athletic training. Patients recovering from illness participated in gentle exercises, gradually rebuilding their strength under the guidance of priest-physicians. The circular tholos, a mysterious building whose purpose remains unknown, may have housed sacred serpents or served as a meditation chamber. Climb back toward the theater, where dramatic performances served as emotional catharsis for healing pilgrims. Aristotle taught that tragedy purged the soul of harmful emotions, while comedy restored joy and laughter. The festival of Asclepios, held every 4 years, combined athletic competitions with theatrical performances, creating a celebration of human potential that honored both physical and artistic excellence. Feel the profound peace that emanates from these ancient stones, where suffering humanity found solace and hope. The sanctuary operated for over 8 centuries, its reputation for miraculous healing spreading throughout the Mediterranean world. Roman emperors and common citizens alike journeyed here, seeking the god's blessing and the skilled care of his priests. As twilight settles over the valley, imagine the oil lamps flickering in the temple courtyards, while patients shared their stories of pain and recovery. The community of healing that flourished here reminds us that wellness grows from compassion, understanding, and the belief that every person deserves care and dignity. The theater's perfect acoustics seem to whisper across the centuries, carrying voices of ancient actors, the prayers of desperate pilgrims, and the joyful testimonies of those who found healing in this sacred place. Breathe slowly, and let the healing spirit of Epidaurus restore your own inner harmony. Chapter 9. Delos, Island of Light. Let your spirit sail gently across the azure Aegean, to a small island at the heart of the Cyclades, where myth declares that Apollo, god of light and music, was born beneath a sacred palm tree. Here lies Delos, the most sacred island in the ancient Greek world, where no mortal could be born or die, for this blessed land belonged entirely to the immortal gods. Feel the warm sea breeze carrying the scent of wild sage and myrtle, as you approach shores that welcomed pilgrims from across the Mediterranean. Step onto the ancient marble quay, where sacred ships once docked bearing treasures and offerings. The harbor, protected by breakwaters built of massive stone blocks, welcomed vessels from Athens, Egypt, and distant lands beyond the Black Sea. Notice how the morning light seems especially brilliant here, reflecting off white marble temples and the crystalline waters that surround this holy island. The Greeks believed that Delos floated freely until Zeus anchored it with diamond chains, creating a stable birthplace for his divine son. Walk slowly along the sacred way, lined with marble statues and monuments erected by grateful city-states. The famous Terrace of the Lions, where 9 marble guardians once stood, still displays 5 of these majestic creatures, their mouths open in eternal roars that protected the sacred lake. These archaic sculptures, carved from Naxian marble in the 7th century BCE, have weathered nearly 3 millennia, their stylized forms embodying the eternal vigilance of divine protection. Breathe deeply beside the sacred lake, now dry but once filled with pure water where sacred swans glided. Here Leto, fleeing the jealous wrath of Hera, finally found refuge to bear her divine children. Apollo and Artemis, the palm tree that sheltered the birth, though long vanished, was commemorated by countless pilgrims who touched its sacred trunk, seeking blessings of creativity and inspiration. Approach the Temple of Apollo, where the Delian League stored its treasury before Pericles moved it to Athens. The massive foundation stones, fitted without mortar, supported a sanctuary that housed one of Greece's most precious cult statues. The colossal Apollo, crafted from gold and ivory, stood over 30 feet tall, his lyre symbolizing the harmony that governs the cosmos. Pilgrims traveled thousands of miles to glimpse this divine image. Rest in the shade of the Perinos Naos, the earliest temple on the island, built from local granite in the 6th century BCE. Its simple Doric columns, weathered by salt spray and time, remind us that devotion needs no ornament beyond sincere faith. Here the Delian maidens, a sacred chorus, sang hymns that Homer himself praised, their voices carrying across the water like divine music. Wander through the ancient residential quarter, where wealthy merchants built luxurious homes decorated with intricate mosaics. The house of Dionysus displays a magnificent floor showing the wine god riding a panther, while the house of dolphins features playful sea creatures that seem to swim through geometric patterns. These artworks reveal a cosmopolitan community where sacred and secular life flourished together. Climb the slopes of Mount Kinthos, the island's highest point, where a sanctuary to Zeus and Athena commanded panoramic views of the Cyclades. From this sacred summit, you can see dozens of islands scattered like jewels across the wine-dark sea. The same vista that inspired ancient poets to sing of Aegean beauty. Each island visible from here sent delegations to the great Delian festivals, creating a community of worship that transcended political boundaries. Visit the ancient theater, carved into the hillside overlooking the harbor, where religious dramas celebrated Apollo's glory during the quinquennial Delia festival. The marble seats, though smaller than Epidaurus, provided perfect acoustics for sacred performances. Imagine the voices of ancient actors carrying across the water, their words mixing with the eternal sound of waves against marble shores. As evening light bathes the ruins in golden radiance, feel the profound sanctity that made this small island the spiritual center of the Aegean world. For over a millennium, Delos remained inviolate, its sacred status protecting it from the wars that ravaged other Greek lands. The island's dedication to Apollo created a neutral ground where enemies could meet in peace. The marble columns and scattered statues seem to glow with inner light, as if Apollo's divine radiance still illuminates his birthplace. This timeless luminosity reminds us that some places transcend ordinary geography, becoming windows into the eternal realm of beauty and truth. Breathe slowly, and let the sacred light of Delos illuminate your peaceful dreams. Chapter 10. Meteora. Monasteries in the sky. Let your spirit drift northward from the islands, across the fertile plains of Thessaly, to where impossible stone pillars rise like prayers toward heaven. Here stands Meteora, where Byzantine monks built their monasteries atop towering sandstone pinnacles, seeking solitude closer to God. Feel the cool mountain air filling your lungs, scented with pine and wild herbs. As you gaze upward at these natural skyscrapers that seem to defy earthly gravity. The name Meteora means suspended in air, and these ancient sanctuaries truly appear to float between earth and sky. Walk slowly through the valley floor, where the Pineos River once carved these magnificent formations from ancient seabeds. 24 monasteries once crowned these stone towers, their red-tiled roofs and whitewashed walls creating jewel-like accents against the gray rock. Today 6 remain active, their bells still calling faithful to prayer as they have for 6 centuries. Notice how each monastery seems perfectly integrated with its rocky foundation, as if divine architects shaped both stone and structure in harmonious unity. Breathe deeply as you imagine ascending the original rope ladders and pulleys, the only means of reaching these aerial sanctuaries. Monks hauled supplies, visitors, and themselves up sheer cliff faces in woven baskets, trusting entirely in God's protection. The journey itself became a pilgrimage, requiring faith and courage that prepared the soul for spiritual encounter. These precarious ascents discouraged all but the most devoted seekers, preserving the monastery's sacred solitude. Approach the great Meteoron, the largest and oldest of the surviving monasteries, founded in the 14th century by Saint Athanasios. This magnificent complex, built atop a 1,800-foot pinnacle, houses priceless Byzantine frescoes and illuminated manuscripts. The Catholicon, or main church, glows with golden icons that seem to capture divine light. Their painted eyes follow visitors with expressions of infinite compassion, connecting earthly pilgrims to heavenly mysteries. Rest in the peaceful courtyards, where flowering gardens bloom impossibly high above the world. Monks cultivated these aerial oases with soil carried up basket by basket, creating paradises of roses, herbs, and fruit trees that perfumed the mountain air. The sound of trickling fountains, fed by natural springs within the rock, mingles with the gentle chanting that drifts from chapel windows. These gardens represent humanity's eternal desire to create beauty even in the most challenging circumstances. Listen to the profound silence that surrounds these holy places, broken only by the whisper of wind through stone arches and the distant call of eagles soaring at eye level. The monasteries of Varlam, Ruzanu, and Holy Trinity each possess unique character, yet all share the same otherworldly tranquility. Their libraries preserve manuscripts that survived the fall of Constantinople, maintaining threads of Byzantine culture through centuries of Ottoman rule. Wander through ancient refectories where monks gathered for simple meals, their wooden tables worn smooth by centuries of use. Frescoes depicting biblical scenes cover every wall, transforming daily activities into opportunities for contemplation. The Last Supper, painted in vibrant blues and golds, reminds diners that every meal can become communion with the divine. These artistic treasures, created by anonymous monk painters, rival the masterpieces of Renaissance Italy. Gaze from monastery terraces across the Thessalian plain, where distant mountains fade into purple haze. The same vista that inspired hermits to seek God in this vertical wilderness. From these heights, the concerns of the world below seem insignificant, replaced by awareness of eternal truths that transcend temporal existence. Sunrise and sunset transform the rock formations into cathedrals of light, their colors shifting from rose to gold to deep amber. Visit the tiny chapel of Holy Trinity, perched on the most dramatic pinnacle, where James Bond once filmed death-defying stunts. Yet no movie magic can capture the spiritual power that emanates from these sacred stones. The monastery's isolation creates a natural retreat from worldly distractions, allowing contemplatives to focus entirely on prayer and meditation. Their dedication transforms these rocky heights into gateways to transcendence. As evening mist rises from the valleys, imagine the oil lamps flickering in monastery windows, like stars brought down to earth. The monks' evening prayers echo softly between the stone pillars, their ancient chants connecting present devotion to centuries of unbroken worship. These aerial sanctuaries remind us that the human spirit can find God anywhere, even suspended between heaven and earth. Breathe slowly, and let the celestial peace of Meteora lift your soul toward infinite serenity. Chapter 11. Santorini. Lost Atlantis. Let your spirit sail gently southward, across the wine-dark Aegean, to a crescent-shaped island born from volcanic fire. Here lies Santorini, where some scholars believe Plato's lost Atlantis once flourished, before a cataclysmic eruption transformed paradise into legend. Feel the warm Mediterranean breeze carrying hints of sulfur and sea salt, as you approach these dramatic cliffs that rise like ancient fortress walls from the deepest waters of the Aegean. Walk slowly along the caldera rim, where whitewashed villages cling to volcanic cliffs 900 feet above the sea. The famous blue-domed churches of Oya and Fira seem to mirror the endless sky, their brilliant white walls reflecting sunlight that has traveled across 3 millennia. Notice how the layered rock faces reveal the island's violent history, bands of red, black, and white stone marking successive eruptions that shaped this unique landscape. Breathe deeply the crystal-clear air, as you gaze across the flooded caldera toward the dark volcanic islets of Nea Kameni and Pelea Kameni. These smoking remnants mark where the ancient island's heart once stood, before the Bronze Age eruption that may have inspired Plato's tale of Atlantis. The explosion, estimated at 4 times the power of Krakatoa, sent tsunamis racing across the Mediterranean, possibly contributing to the collapse of Minoan civilization. Descend carefully to the archaeological site of Akrotiri, the Pompeii of the Aegean, where volcanic ash preserved a sophisticated Bronze Age city. The multi-story buildings, with their advanced drainage systems and colorful frescoes, reveal a prosperous society that traded with Egypt, Cyprus, and the Greek mainland. The famous fresco of the Blue Monkeys, painted in vivid mineral pigments, shows artistic sophistication that rivals classical Greek art. Rest in the shade of ancient walls, where no human remains have been found, suggesting the inhabitants received warning and evacuated before the final catastrophe. The empty storage jars, still arranged in neat rows, speak of lives interrupted but not lost. These Theran people, whose true name remains unknown, created a maritime civilization that connected the Bronze Age world through trade and cultural exchange. Listen to the gentle lapping of waves far below, as you explore the preserved streets of this ancient city. The houses, some reaching 3 stories, featured indoor plumbing and sophisticated ventilation systems. Workshops produced pottery, textiles, and metalwork that reached markets throughout the eastern Mediterranean. The famous spring fresco, showing swallows and lilies, captures the natural beauty that once graced this volcanic paradise. Wander through the reconstructed rooms, where frescoes depict scenes of daily life frozen in time. Young fishermen display their catch, elegant ladies gather saffron, and ships sail between flowering islands. These paintings, created around 1600 BCE, provide our most vivid glimpse of Bronze Age Aegean life. Their artistic mastery suggests a culture at its creative peak, cut short by geological forces beyond human control. Climb back toward the modern villages, where traditional cave houses burrow into the volcanic cliff face. These unique dwellings, carved from compressed ash, provide natural insulation against summer heat and winter cold. Their barrel-vaulted ceilings and whitewashed walls create spaces of serene beauty, while their terraces offer panoramic views across the caldera's azure waters. Visit a traditional winery, where vines grow in protective baskets close to the volcanic soil. The unique terroir, created by millennia of eruptions, produces wines with distinctive mineral flavors. Assortico grapes, native to Santorini, thrive in this harsh environment, their roots reaching deep into pumice and ash. The same volcanic forces that destroyed ancient civilizations now create liquid poetry in crystal glasses. As the famous Santorini sunset begins, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, feel the profound beauty that emerges from destruction. The volcanic catastrophe that may have inspired the Atlantis legend also created one of the world's most spectacular landscapes. This paradox reminds us that endings often become beginnings, and that beauty can arise from the most dramatic transformations. Watch the sun disappear behind the caldera rim, its light reflecting off the white churches and blue domes that crown these ancient cliffs. The same celestial fire that witnessed the Bronze Age eruption now blesses modern pilgrims with moments of transcendent beauty. Breathe slowly, and let the timeless magic of Santorini carry you into dreams of lost civilizations and eternal renewal. Chapter 12. The Library of Alexandria. Lost knowledge. Let your spirit drift southward, across the Mediterranean's azure waters, to the delta where the Nile meets the sea. Here stands Alexandria, the city Alexander the Great founded, where his successors built the greatest library the world has ever known. Feel the warm Egyptian breeze, scented with papyrus and frankincense, as you approach the marble colonnades where scholars from across the ancient world gathered to unlock the mysteries of existence. Walk slowly through the museum, the sacred precinct dedicated to the 9 Muses, where the library formed the beating heart of Hellenistic learning. Notice how the graceful Ionic columns, carved from pristine white marble, create shaded walkways perfect for philosophical discussion. Here Euclid developed his geometric principles. Eratosthenes calculated the Earth's circumference, and Archimedes discovered the laws of physics that still govern our universe. The gentle sound of fountains mingles with the whispered conversations of the world's greatest minds. Breathe deeply in the vast reading halls, where 500,000 papyrus scrolls contained humanity's accumulated wisdom. The air carries the distinctive scent of papyrus, that miraculous Egyptian plant that preserved knowledge across millennia. Imagine the rustling of countless scrolls, as scholars from Athens, Rhodes, and Pergamon studied texts in Greek, Egyptian, Hebrew, and Persian. This was truly the first international university, where knowledge transcended cultural boundaries. Rest in the scriptorium, where teams of scribes worked tirelessly to copy precious manuscripts. Their reed pens, dipped in carbon black ink, preserved the works of Homer, Sophocles, and Aristotle for future generations. The Ptolemaic kings decreed that every ship entering Alexandria's harbor must surrender its books for copying, ensuring that no knowledge would escape their magnificent collection. These royal bibliophiles understood that wisdom was the greatest treasure. Listen to the echo of ancient lectures, as you explore the halls where Apollonius of Rhodes composed his Argonautica, and Callimachus catalogued the library's treasures. The famous Pinax, his 120-volume bibliography, became the world's first library catalog, organizing human knowledge into systematic categories. This monumental work, now lost, represented humanity's first attempt to map the entire realm of learning. Wander through the botanical gardens, where scholars studied medicinal plants gathered from across the known world. The library was more than books. It was a living laboratory where theoretical knowledge met practical application. Aerophilus performed the first systematic anatomical dissections, while Erasistratus discovered the circulation of blood. Their medical advances, preserved in papyrus scrolls, saved countless lives across the ancient world. Visit the astronomical observatory, where Hipparchus mapped the stars and Aristarchus proposed that Earth orbits the Sun. These revolutionary insights, recorded on fragile papyrus, challenged humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos. The library's scholars used bronze astrolabes and marble sundials to measure celestial movements, their calculations achieving accuracy that wouldn't be surpassed for over 1,000 years. Feel the profound sadness that accompanies lost knowledge, as you contemplate the library's gradual decline. Religious conflicts, budget cuts, and changing priorities slowly eroded this temple of learning. The final scrolls may have been burned for fuel, their irreplaceable wisdom lost forever. Yet the library's spirit lives on, inspiring every institution dedicated to preserving and sharing human knowledge. Imagine the translation workshops, where scholars rendered Egyptian hieroglyphs into Greek, Hebrew scriptures into Aramaic, and Persian wisdom into Latin. The Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, was completed here, becoming one of history's most influential texts. This multicultural collaboration created bridges between civilizations that might otherwise have remained isolated. As twilight settles over the ancient harbor, picture the lighthouse of Alexandria, one of the seven wonders, casting its beacon across waters that carried knowledge to every corner of the Mediterranean. Ships departed these docks loaded not with gold or spices, but with copies of precious texts that would seed libraries throughout the Hellenistic world. The library's greatest treasure wasn't its building or even its books, but the revolutionary idea that all knowledge belongs to all humanity. This democratic vision of learning, born in Alexandria's marble halls, continues to inspire universities and libraries around the globe. Breathe slowly, and let the eternal quest for knowledge illuminate your dreams with wisdom's gentle light. Chapter 13. Corinth, city between two seas, let your spirit return gently to the Greek mainland, to the narrow isthmus where two seas meet. Here stands ancient Corinth, the wealthy crossroads that controlled trade between the Aegean and Ionian waters. Feel the unique sensation of standing where continents almost touch, where ships were once dragged overland to avoid the treacherous voyage around the Peloponnese. The salt-scented breeze carries whispers from both eastern and western horizons, making this the most cosmopolitan city of the ancient world. Walk slowly along the ancient Diokos, the stone roadway where merchant vessels were hauled across the isthmus on wooden rollers. This remarkable engineering feat, built in the 6th century BCE, saved weeks of dangerous sailing around Cape Malea. Notice the parallel grooves carved into limestone blocks, worn smooth by countless ship keels that crossed between the seas. The tolls collected here made Corinth fabulously wealthy, earning it the nickname, Wealthy Corinth, in Homer's verses. Breathe deeply as you approach the towering Acrocorinth, the massive fortress that dominates the landscape like a natural acropolis. This limestone mountain, rising 1,800 feet above the isthmus, provided perfect strategic control over land and sea routes. Ancient walls snake up its slopes, built and rebuilt by Greeks, Romans, Byzantines, and Crusaders. Each civilization recognized the crucial importance of this commanding height. Rest in the ruins of the Temple of Aphrodite, where the goddess of love once received worship from sailors and merchants. The temple's wealth came partly from sacred prostitution, a practice that scandalized other Greeks but reflected Corinth's cosmopolitan attitudes. Over 1,000 sacred courtesans served here, their beauties celebrated throughout the Mediterranean. This sanctuary embodied Corinth's unique blend of commerce, pleasure, and religious devotion. Listen to the echoes in the ancient agora, where merchants from Egypt, Phoenicia, and Italy displayed exotic goods. Corinthian pottery, decorated with distinctive black figure designs, was prized from Spain to the Black Sea. The city's bronze work was so renowned that Corinthian bronze became synonymous with luxury. Workshops here produced mirrors, armor, and decorative objects that graced palaces throughout the ancient world. Wander through the remains of the Roman Forum, rebuilt after the Romans destroyed Greek Corinth in 146 BCE. Julius Caesar refounded the city a century later, populating it with freed slaves who created a vibrant multicultural society. The marble columns and mosaic floors reflect Roman grandeur, while preserving the commercial spirit that made Corinth great. St. Paul preached here, finding fertile ground among the diverse population. Visit the sacred spring of Pyrene, where crystal-clear water bubbles from natural limestone caves. This fountain, associated with the winged horse Pegasus, provided pure water for the city's growing population. The Romans enclosed it in an elaborate marble facade, creating a monumental fountain house that became a social gathering place. The sound of flowing water, echoing in stone chambers, created a peaceful oasis in the bustling commercial center. Climb toward the ancient theater, carved into the northern slope of Acrocorinth, where Greek dramas and Roman spectacles entertained audiences of 15,000. The view from the upper seats encompasses both the Corinthian and Saronic gulfs, a panorama that reminded spectators of their city's unique geographic position. On clear days, you can see the Acropolis of Athens, 40 miles across the water. Feel the entrepreneurial energy that still emanates from these ruins. Corinth was never content with past glories, but constantly reinvented itself to meet changing times. The city pioneered new pottery techniques, developed innovative ship designs, and created banking systems that facilitated Mediterranean trade. This adaptability allowed Corinth to prosper under Greek, Roman, and Byzantine rule. Gaze across the narrow isthmus toward the modern Corinth Canal, completed in 1893, which finally realized the ancient dream of connecting the two seas. The canal, carved through solid rock, follows roughly the same route that ancient engineers surveyed but lacked the technology to complete. This modern marvel validates the vision of ancient planners who understood geography's commercial possibilities. As sunset paints both seas in shades of gold and purple, imagine the ancient harbor master's lighting beacon fires to guide ships safely to port. Corinth's prosperity came from serving others, providing safe passage and fair markets for merchants from every corner of the known world. This spirit of hospitality and commerce created wealth that funded art, architecture, and culture. Breathe slowly, and let the timeless rhythm of trade winds carry you toward dreams of distant harbors and exotic markets. Chapter 14. Sparta. Warrior's legacy. Let your spirit journey south, through the rugged mountains of Laconia, to the fertile valley where ancient Sparta once stood. Here lived the most disciplined warriors the world has ever known. Yet their legacy rests not in marble monuments, but in the timeless ideals of courage, honor, and sacrifice. Feel the crisp mountain air, scented with wild olive and cypress, as you walk among the scattered ruins where Leonidas and his 300 heroes once trained for their immortal stand at Thermopylae. Walk slowly through the remains of ancient Sparta, noticing how few grand buildings survive. The Spartans deliberately avoided architectural ostentation, believing that true strength came from character, not stone. Their city had no walls, for as King Agesilaus declared, "A city's walls should be built of men, not bricks." This philosophy created warriors so formidable that enemies rarely dared approach their unfortified homeland. Breathe deeply beside the Eurotas River, whose clear waters nourished the Laconian plain. Here Spartan boys began their legendary agoge training at age 7, learning to endure hardship, master weapons, and develop the unbreakable bonds of brotherhood that made their phalanx invincible. The river's gentle murmur carries echoes of ancient war songs, the paeans that Spartan warriors sang as they marched to battle. Rest near the ruins of the temple of Artemis Orthia, where young Spartans underwent ritual flogging to test their endurance. This sacred ceremony, observed by crowds of spectators, demonstrated that Spartan strength came from mental discipline, not just physical power. Boys competed to see who could endure the most pain without crying out, their silence proving worthiness to join the warrior brotherhood. Listen to the mountain winds, carrying whispers of Spartan women who enjoyed freedoms unknown elsewhere in Greece. They exercised publicly owned property and spoke boldly in political discussions. Queen Gorgo, wife of Leonidas, was renowned for her wisdom and wit. These strong mothers raised the sons who defended Greek freedom against Persian tyranny, their influence shaping the character that made Sparta legendary. Wander through the ancient Agora, where Spartan elders gathered in the Gerousia, their council of 28 men over 60. This unique government balanced royal power with democratic elements, creating stability that lasted for centuries. The Ephors, 5 elected magistrates, could even challenge kings, ensuring that no single person gained absolute control. This constitutional system influenced political thought throughout the ancient world. Visit the site of the ancient gymnasium, where Spartan warriors maintained their legendary fitness through daily training. They practiced with sword and spear until movements became instinctive, their bronze-tipped weapons extensions of their disciplined bodies. The famous lambda shields, marked with the Greek letter for Lacedaemon, became symbols of unwavering courage throughout the Mediterranean world. Climb toward Mount Taygetus, the towering peak that dominates the Spartan landscape. These rugged slopes, where weak infants were allegedly exposed, symbolize the harsh natural environment that shaped Spartan character. Yet recent scholarship suggests this practice was largely mythical, created by later writers who misunderstood Spartan values. The real Sparta was more complex than popular legends suggest. Feel the profound silence that surrounds these modest ruins, so different from the grand monuments of Athens or Thebes. Sparta's greatest achievements were written not in stone, but in the hearts of men who chose death before dishonor. At Thermopylae, Plataea, and countless other battlefields, Spartan warriors proved that moral courage could triumph over overwhelming odds. Gaze across the Laconian plain, where olive groves and vineyards now flourish in peaceful abundance. The same fertile soil that once supported a warrior society now nourishes farmers and shepherds. This transformation reminds us that even the mightiest military powers eventually yield to time's gentle passage. Yet the Spartan ideals of discipline, sacrifice, and loyalty continue to inspire people facing difficult challenges. As twilight settles over the valley, imagine the simple bronze monuments that once honored fallen heroes. Spartan grave markers bore only names and the phrase, "in war," no elaborate eulogies or artistic decorations. This austere dignity reflected a culture that valued substance over appearance, deeds over words. The most famous Spartan epitaph, carved for Leonidas and his 300, simply states, Go tell the Spartans, stranger passing by, that here obedient to their laws we lie. Breathe slowly, and let the eternal spirit of Spartan courage strengthen your own resolve to face life's challenges with honor. Chapter 15. Rhodes, Colossus Island. Let your spirit sail eastward, across the sparkling Aegean, to the largest island of the Dodecanese, where ancient Rhodes rose like a jewel from azure waters. Here stood one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the mighty Colossus that welcomed ships to the most prosperous harbor in the eastern Mediterranean. Feel the warm sea breeze, carrying scents of jasmine and wild herbs, as you approach this island where Helios, god of the sun, was said to have chosen his earthly home. Walk slowly through the ancient city of Rhodes, where marble streets once gleamed under the Mediterranean sun. The harbor, protected by massive stone moles, welcomed merchant vessels from Egypt, Syria, and the distant Black Sea. Notice how the medieval walls, built by the Knights of St. John, follow the foundations of ancient Greek fortifications. These layered defenses speak of an island that has always been worth protecting. Breathe deeply at the harbor mouth, where the legendary Colossus once stood guard. This bronze giant, rising 110 feet above the water, took 12 years to complete and stood for only 56 years before an earthquake toppled it in 226 BCE. Contrary to popular belief, the statue did not straddle the harbor entrance, but stood on a marble pedestal near the shore, its gleaming surface reflecting sunlight like a beacon visible for miles at sea. Rest beside the ruins of the Temple of Helios, where Rhodians worshipped their patron deity. The sun god was said to have raised this island from the sea depths as his special domain, making Rhodes the most blessed land in the Aegean. Ancient writers described how the island's roses bloomed year-round, their perpetual beauty reflecting divine favor. The very name, Rhodes, derives from the Greek word for rose. Listen to the gentle lapping of waves, as you explore the ancient Acropolis of Rhodes, perched on Monte Smith Hill. The Temple of Apollo Pythios, though now in ruins, once commanded panoramic views across the Aegean. Its remaining columns, carved from local limestone, still catch the morning light as they did when ancient priests performed dawn sacrifices to honor the sun's daily rebirth. Wander through the remains of the ancient stadium, where athletes competed in the Haliaea Games, honoring Helios with contests of speed and strength. The marble starting blocks, worn smooth by countless runners, remind us that Rhodes was more than a commercial center. It was a cultural hub that celebrated human excellence. The nearby theater, carved into the hillside, hosted performances that drew audiences from across the Greek world. Visit the Street of the Knights, where medieval crusaders built their magnificent palaces over ancient Greek foundations. The cobblestones, worn smooth by centuries of pilgrims and merchants, follow routes first laid out by Rhodian city planners. This continuity of purpose, from ancient Greek commerce to medieval crusade, demonstrates the island's enduring strategic importance. Climb to the Palace of the Grand Masters, where archaeological excavations reveal layers of Greek, Roman, Byzantine, and medieval history. Ancient mosaics, depicting dolphins and mythological scenes, peek through medieval stonework. These artistic treasures survived because later builders recognized their beauty and incorporated them into new structures. Feel the entrepreneurial spirit that made ancient Rhodes wealthy. The island's strategic position, at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and Africa, created natural advantages that skilled merchants exploited. Rhodian ships carried grain from Egypt, wine from Greece, and luxury goods from the Orient. The famous Rhodian maritime law, governing sea trade, influenced commercial practices throughout the Mediterranean. Gaze across the harbor, where the ancient lighthouse once guided ships safely to port. Though smaller than Alexandria's Pharos, this beacon was equally vital to Mediterranean navigation. Ships approaching at night could see its fire from 20 miles away, ensuring safe passage through the treacherous waters that surround the Dodecanese Islands. As sunset bathes the harbor in golden light, Imagine the moment when the great colossus caught the sun's last rays, its bronze surface glowing like divine fire. Ancient visitors described this daily spectacle as proof that Helios truly blessed his chosen island. The statue's destruction saddened the entire ancient world, yet its memory inspired artists and poets for centuries. The medieval walls now glow with the same warm light that once illuminated the Colossus, reminding us that beauty transcends any single monument. Rhodes itself, with its perfect harbors and flower-covered hills, remains the true wonder that has attracted visitors for over 2 millennia. Breathe slowly, and let the eternal sunshine of Rhodes warm your dreams with golden serenity. Chapter 16. Eleusis, Mysteries of Demeter. Let your spirit drift gently westward from Athens, along the sacred way that pilgrims traveled for over 1,000 years, to the holy sanctuary of Eleusis, where the most profound mysteries of ancient Greece were celebrated. Here Demeter, goddess of the harvest, revealed the secrets of life, death, and rebirth to chosen initiates. Feel the soft earth beneath your feet, rich with grain and wildflowers, as you approach this sacred place where humanity first glimpsed the promise of eternal life. Walk slowly along the ancient processional route, where every September thousands of pilgrims carried sacred objects from Athens to Eleusis. The 14-mile journey, marked by shrines and resting places, prepared initiates for the transformative experience awaiting them. Notice how the landscape gradually changes from urban to agricultural, olive groves giving way to fields of wheat and barley, the very crops that Demeter taught humanity to cultivate. Breathe deeply the scent of wild herbs and grain as you enter the sanctuary precinct. The Telesterion, the great hall of initiation, once sheltered 4,000 pilgrims beneath its mysterious roof. This unique building, supported by forest of columns, contained no windows, its sacred darkness broken only by flickering torches that revealed divine visions to the faithful. The exact nature of these revelations died with the last initiates, their silence preserved by sacred oaths. Rest beside the Callicoran well, where Demeter sat mourning her lost daughter Persephone. According to myth, the goddess disguised herself as an old woman, finding comfort among the daughters of King Helios who danced around this sacred spring. The well's clear water, bubbling from deep limestone aquifers, was believed to possess purifying powers that prepared souls for divine encounter. Listen to the profound silence that surrounds these ancient stones, broken only by the whisper of wind through wheat fields. The Eleusinian mysteries promised initiates that death was not the end, but a doorway to blessed existence. Cicero, himself an initiate, wrote that Eleusis gave humanity reason not only to live joyfully, but also to die with better hope. This revolutionary promise attracted seekers from across the Mediterranean world. Wander through the remains of the Lesser Propylaea, the magnificent gateway built by Roman emperors who honored these ancient rites. The marble columns, carved with intricate acanthus leaves, welcomed pilgrims into the sacred precinct. Here initiates underwent purification rituals, fasting and bathing in the nearby sea, preparing their bodies and spirits for the transformative experience within the Telesterion. Visit the cave where Hades allegedly emerged to abduct Persephone, beginning the cycle of seasons that governs all earthly life. This natural grotto, carved from living rock, connects the upper world to mysterious depths below. Initiates descended into this sacred darkness, symbolically dying to their old lives before emerging reborn into divine light. The psychological power of this ritual transformation influenced mystery religions throughout the ancient world. Feel the agricultural rhythms that shaped Eleusinian worship. The mysteries celebrated in autumn, when Persephone returned to the underworld and grain lay dormant in winter earth. Spring brought her resurrection and the renewal of all growing things. This eternal cycle of death and rebirth, enacted in sacred drama, gave initiates confidence that human souls followed similar patterns of renewal. Climb toward the ruins of the greater Propylaea, modeled on the Propylaea of the Athenian Acropolis. Its Doric columns, weathered by 20 centuries, still frame views of the fertile Thriasian plain, where golden wheat waves in Mediterranean breezes. The same fields that inspired ancient farmers to see divine presence in every sprouting seed, every ripening harvest. Gaze across the sanctuary toward distant Athens, whose citizens considered themselves blessed to live near these sacred mysteries. The Eleusinian rites were so central to Greek religion that attacking the sanctuary was considered sacrilege. Even during the Peloponnesian War, when Athens and Sparta fought bitterly, both sides respected the sacred truce that protected pilgrims traveling to Eleusis. As twilight settles over the wheat fields, imagine the torches that once illuminated the sacred way, guiding initiates through darkness toward divine revelation. The mysteries ended only when Christian emperors closed the sanctuary in the 4th century CE. Yet their influence on human spirituality continues. The promise of life beyond death, first whispered in these sacred halls, echoes through every religion that offers hope of resurrection. Breathe slowly, and let the eternal mysteries of Eleusis plant seeds of wonder in your peaceful dreams. Chapter 17. Vergina, royal tombs, let your spirit journey northward, through the misty mountains of Macedonia, to a quiet village where one of archaeology's greatest discoveries lay hidden beneath an ancient burial mound. Here at Vergina, the royal cemetery of the Macedonian kings, archaeologist Manolis Andronikos uncovered treasures that rival those of Tutankhamun. Feel the cool mountain air, scented with pine and wild thyme, as you approach the sacred ground where Philip II, father of Alexander the Great, was laid to rest with golden splendor. Walk slowly toward the great tumulus, the artificial hill that concealed royal tombs for over 2 millennia. Notice how the landscape rolls gently toward distant peaks, creating a natural amphitheater worthy of kings who conquered the known world. The burial mound, constructed of earth and stones, rose like a small mountain above the Macedonian plain, its secret chambers waiting patiently for modern archaeology to reveal their golden treasures. Breathe deeply as you descend into the underground museum, where the royal tombs are preserved in climate-controlled splendor. The marble facade of Philip's tomb, decorated with a magnificent hunting frieze, depicts the king and his companions pursuing wild boar and deer. These painted figures, executed by master artists, retain their vivid colors after 23 centuries, their lifelike expressions capturing the vigor of Macedonian court life. Rest before the golden larynx, the exquisite chest that contained Philip's cremated remains. This masterpiece of ancient metalwork, decorated with the 16-pointed Star of Macedon, weighs over 20 pounds of pure gold. Inside, archaeologists discovered bone fragments wrapped in purple cloth, along with a golden oak wreath so delicate that individual leaves tremble at the slightest breath. The craftsmanship rivals anything produced by Renaissance masters. Listen to the profound silence that surrounds these royal chambers, where Philip II was interred with the honors befitting a king who transformed Macedonia from a backward kingdom into a Mediterranean superpower. His military innovations, including the famous phalanx formation, gave his son Alexander the tools to conquer an empire stretching from Egypt to India. The tomb's treasures reflect the wealth that funded these world-changing campaigns. Wander through the adjacent burial chamber, where a young woman, possibly one of Philip's wives, was laid to rest with equal magnificence. Her golden diadem, decorated with flowers and bees, speaks of feminine power in the Macedonian court. The ivory and gold furniture, including a ceremonial bed and throne, demonstrates the luxury that surrounded these northern Greek royals. Their artistic sophistication rivaled that of Athens or Thebes. Visit the tomb's antechamber, where silver vessels and bronze armor accompanied the king into eternity. The famous silver hydria, decorated with scenes of Dionysiac revelry, shows the Greek cultural influences that shaped Macedonian court life. Yet the tomb's overall character, with its painted hunt scenes and warrior equipment, reflects the martial culture that produced history's greatest conqueror. Feel the weight of history as you contemplate artifacts that belonged to Alexander's father. The iron spear points and bronze greaves, dented from actual combat, remind us that these treasures belong to real people who lived, fought, and died in the turbulent 4th century BCE. Philip's assassination, at his daughter's wedding, ended a remarkable career and launched his son toward immortal fame. Climb back toward daylight, carrying images of golden wreaths and painted frescoes. The tomb's discovery in 1977 revolutionized our understanding of Macedonian culture, revealing a sophisticated kingdom that blended Greek refinement with northern vitality. These royal burials, with their unprecedented wealth, demonstrate the resources that Alexander inherited along with his father's throne. Gaze across the Macedonian countryside, where Philip once trained the armies that would conquer Persia. The same fields and forests that witnessed Alexander's youth now shelter peaceful villages and vineyards. Yet the golden tray, azures of Vergina remind us that this quiet landscape once trembled beneath the hoofbeats of cavalry that would carry Greek culture to the ends of the earth. As evening mist rises from the valleys, imagine the funeral pyres that once blazed on these hills, consuming the bodies of kings while their spirits journeyed toward heroic immortality. The Macedonian royal tombs, with their blend of Greek artistry and barbarian gold, represent the cultural fusion that made Alexander's conquests possible. Breathe slowly, and let the golden dreams of Macedonian kings illuminate your peaceful rest. Chapter 18. Sounion. Temple by the sea. Let your spirit drift southward from Athens, following the ancient coastal road that winds along the Aegean shore, to the dramatic headland of Cape Sounion, where marble columns rise like prayers against the endless blue horizon. Here stands the Temple of Poseidon, god of the sea, perched on cliffs that plunge 60 meters into crystalline waters. Feel the salt-scented breeze, carrying whispers of ancient mariners who offered prayers for safe passage across the wine-dark sea. Walk slowly up the sacred hill, where pilgrims have climbed for over 25 centuries. The temple's gleaming Doric columns, carved from local marble, catch the morning light like beacons visible from far at sea. Notice how the structure seems to grow naturally from the rocky promontory, its proportions perfectly harmonized with the dramatic landscape. Ancient architects understood that this sanctuary must complement, not compete with, the sublime beauty of sea and sky. Breathe deeply the pure Aegean air as you approach the temple's marble platform. Here Athenian sailors made offerings before embarking on dangerous voyages, seeking Poseidon's protection from storms and pirates. The god's trident, symbol of his power over waves and earthquakes, was carved into votive reliefs that lined the sacred precinct. These marble prayers, weathered by centuries of sea spray, still speak of humanity's eternal dependence on divine favor. Rest against the sun-warmed columns, where Lord Byron carved his name in 1810, joining countless other visitors who felt compelled to leave their mark on this sacred stone. The Romantic poet, inspired by the temple's sublime setting, wrote of Sounion's columns gleaming on the wave. His verses captured the timeless magic that draws pilgrims to this cliff-top sanctuary, where earth meets sea meets sky in perfect harmony. Listen to the eternal rhythm of waves, breaking against the limestone cliffs far below. This hypnotic sound, unchanged since ancient times, accompanied the prayers of Athenian generals before naval battles. The same waters that carried Themistocles to victory at Salamis, and witnessed the golden age of Athenian maritime power, still surge and retreat with tidal precision, marking time's passage with liquid metronome. Wander among the temple's remaining columns, 15 of the original 34, their fluted surfaces catching shadows that shift with the sun's arc. The missing stones, carried away by Venetian builders or toppled by earthquakes, remind us of time's relentless power. Yet what remains still inspires awe, its mathematical proportions creating visual harmony that pleases the eye and soothes the spirit. Visit the nearby Temple of Athena, smaller but equally sacred, where the goddess of wisdom shared honors with her uncle Poseidon. This dual dedication reflected the Athenians' understanding that successful navigation required both divine protection and human skill. Sailors needed Poseidon's favor to calm the waves, but also Athena's wisdom to read wind patterns and navigate by the stars. Feel the profound peace that emanates from this sacred headland, where the ancient world seemed to end in infinite blue. Before Magellan proved the Earth's roundness, Mediterranean sailors imagined that beyond Sounion lay only endless ocean, perhaps the realm of the blessed dead. This sense of standing at the world's edge gave the temple special significance as humanity's last outpost before the unknown. Climb to the temple's highest point, where ancient beacon fires guided ships safely to harbor. The lighthouse keepers, priests of Poseidon, maintained flames that burned olive oil blessed by sacred ritual. These divine beacons, visible for miles across dark waters, saved countless lives and cargoes, earning the god's temple a reputation for miraculous protection. Gaze across the Saronic Gulf, where islands float like emeralds on azure silk. Aegina, Hydra, and distant Poros create a seascape of incomparable beauty, the same vista that inspired ancient poets to sing of Greece as the god's chosen land, where natural beauty reflects divine perfection. Every sunset from this sacred cliff confirms that assessment, painting sky and sea in colors that surpass human artistry. As evening approaches, imagine the temple's marble columns glowing rose and gold in the dying light. Ancient mariners, seeing this divine fire from their ships, knew they had reached safe harbor. The temple's beacon promised not just physical safety, but spiritual homecoming to a land blessed by the gods. The eternal dance of light on water, marble on sky, continues the same celestial performance that moved ancient hearts to worship. Sounion's timeless beauty reminds us that some places transcend human history, becoming windows into the eternal realm of divine perfection. Breathe slowly, and let the endless rhythm of Aegean waves carry you toward dreams of infinite blue serenity. Chapter 19. Dodona, Oak Tree Oracle, let your spirit drift northwest, through the rugged mountains of Epirus, to a hidden valley where the oldest oracle in Greece whispered divine wisdom through rustling oak leaves. Here at Dodona, Zeus himself spoke through his sacred tree, offering guidance to pilgrims who journeyed across treacherous peaks to hear the god's voice in nature's simplest sounds. Feel the cool mountain air, scented with wild herbs and ancient oak, as you enter this primeval sanctuary where divination began before temples were built. Walk slowly through the sacred grove, where mighty oak trees have stood for millennia, their gnarled branches reaching toward the sky like supplicating arms. The original prophetic oak, though long fallen, was succeeded by others that inherited its sacred power. Notice how the leaves whisper constantly, even in the gentlest breeze, creating the susurrus that ancient priests interpreted as Zeus's divine messages. This natural music, unchanged since Homer's time, still carries hints of otherworldly wisdom. Breathe deeply the forest air, rich with the earthy scent of oak bark and fallen leaves. The Seloi, Zeus's barefoot priests, slept on the ground beneath these sacred branches, their bodies attuned to every tremor of divine communication. They never washed their feet, maintaining contact with the earth that transmitted the god's will. Their ascetic lifestyle, so different from Delphi's elaborate rituals, reflected Dodona's ancient connection to primitive nature worship. Rest beside the foundations of the small temple, built much later to house the oracle's sacred vessels. The famous bronze cauldrons, suspended from oak branches, rang with metallic voices when touched by wind. These resonant bowls, crafted by skilled metalworkers, amplified nature's whispers into audible prophecy. Pilgrims learned to interpret the complex harmonies, finding divine guidance in seemingly random sounds. Listen to the profound silence between the oak leaves rustling. In these quiet moments, ancient visitors strained to hear Zeus's voice emerging from natural chaos. The oracle's responses, written on lead tablets, have been discovered by archaeologists, revealing questions about marriage, business ventures, and military campaigns. These humble metal scrolls, corroded by centuries, preserve humanity's eternal dialogue with the divine. Wander among the ruins of the ancient theater, where religious festivals honored Zeus with dramatic performances. The stone seats, carved into the hillside, face the sacred grove, ensuring that even entertainment remained connected to divine presence. During the NAIA Games, held every 4 years, athletes competed while the oracle's bronze vessels chimed in the background, creating a unique blend of sport and spirituality. Visit the remains of the council house, where the Molossian kings consulted the oracle on matters of state. Alexander the Great's mother, Olympias, came from this region and may have sought guidance here before her son's birth. The oracle's political influence extended throughout northwestern Greece, its pronouncements shaping alliances and military strategies across the ancient world. Feel the primal power that distinguishes Dodona from other oracles. While Delphi's Pythia required elaborate preparation and priestly interpretation, Zeus's oak spoke directly to anyone who listened carefully. This democratic accessibility made Dodona especially beloved by common people, who couldn't afford expensive pilgrimages to more famous sanctuaries. The god's voice in nature belonged to all humanity. Climb the surrounding hills, where sacred springs bubble from limestone caves. These pure waters, blessed by mountain nymphs, provided ritual purification for pilgrims. The entire valley, enclosed by protective peaks, creates a natural sanctuary where divine and mortal worlds intersect. Ancient writers described how the mountains themselves seemed to amplify the oracle's whispers. Gaze across the Epirote landscape, where shepherds still graze their flocks among ruins of ancient temples. The pastoral simplicity that characterizes modern Dodona reflects the oracle's original nature. Before marble columns and bronze tripods, before elaborate rituals and priestly hierarchies, divination was simply listening to the god's voice in wind and leaves. As evening mist rises from the valley floor, imagine the oil lamps that once flickered beneath the sacred oak. Pilgrims gathered in the grove's shadows, sharing stories and interpretations while waiting for dawn's first oracle. The communal experience of seeking divine guidance created bonds that transcended regional differences, uniting Greeks in common reverence for Zeus's wisdom. The oak leaves continue their eternal conversation, rustling with the same mysterious messages that guided ancient heroes. Their whispers remind us that divine communication doesn't require elaborate temples or complex rituals. Sometimes the most profound truths emerge from nature's simplest voices. Breathe slowly, and let the ancient oak's wisdom rustle gently through your dreams. Chapter 20. The Legacy. Philosophy's dawn. Let your spirit gather gently, all the wisdom we have discovered together, as we complete our peaceful journey through ancient Greece. Here in these final moments, feel the profound legacy that flows from marble temples and sacred groves, into the very foundations of human thought. The Greeks gave humanity its greatest gift, not gold or conquest, but the revolutionary idea that reason could illuminate truth, and that every person possessed the capacity for wisdom. Walk slowly through the groves of academia, where Plato taught beneath ancient olive trees. The same philosophical discussions that began here 24 centuries ago continue in universities worldwide. Notice how the dappled sunlight, filtering through silver leaves, creates the perfect environment for contemplation. The Greeks understood that learning flourishes in beautiful settings, where mind and spirit find harmony with nature's eternal rhythms. Breathe deeply the wisdom-scented air, where Socrates first declared that the unexamined life is not worth living. His revolutionary method of questioning, seeking truth through dialogue rather than dogma, transformed human consciousness forever. The Socratic principle that wisdom begins with acknowledging ignorance remains the foundation of all genuine learning. His courage in choosing death over compromise demonstrated that some truths are worth any sacrifice. Rest beside the Lyceum's ruins, where Aristotle walked with his students, earning them the name Peripatetics. His systematic approach to knowledge, organizing reality into categories that still guide scientific thought, created the intellectual framework for Western civilization. From biology to ethics, from logic to politics, his insights continue shaping how humans understand their world. Listen to the echoes of ancient debates, where Stoics taught that virtue was the only true good, and Epicureans sought happiness through simple pleasures. These philosophical schools, born in Greek agoras and gardens, offered practical wisdom for living well. Their teachings, refined by centuries of discussion, provide guidance that transcends cultural boundaries, speaking to universal human needs for meaning and purpose. Wander through the mathematical insights that Pythagoras discovered in harmonic ratios. His revelation that numbers govern natural phenomena, from musical scales to planetary orbits, launched the scientific revolution that continues today. The Pythagorean theorem, learned by every student, connects modern minds to ancient Greek genius, proving that mathematical truth transcends time and culture. Visit the medical traditions, established by Hippocrates on the island of Kos. His revolutionary idea that disease had natural, not supernatural causes, freed humanity from superstitious fear. The Hippocratic Oath, still taken by physicians, embodies ethical principles that honor human dignity. His clinical observations, recorded with scientific precision, established medicine as both art and science. Feel the democratic ideals, first practiced in the Athenian agora, where citizens debated policies that affected their lives. The concept that government derives power from popular consent, revolutionary in its time, inspired political movements across millennia. From the Roman Republic to modern democracies, the Greek vision of citizen participation continues shaping human societies. Climb toward the theatrical insights, where Greek dramatists explored the depths of human nature. Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides created characters whose struggles mirror our own. Their tragedies, examining fate, justice, and moral choice, provide psychological insights that modern therapy still employs. The cathartic power of dramatic art, first understood by Greeks, continues healing wounded souls. Gaze across the artistic achievements that established beauty as a fundamental human need. Greek sculptors, discovering ideal proportions in human form, created standards that inspire artists today. Their architecture, balancing strength with grace, demonstrates that functional buildings can also feed the soul. The Greek integration of beauty with utility remains the goal of thoughtful design. As our journey draws to its peaceful close, feel the profound gratitude we owe these ancient seekers, who first dared to question, to reason, to imagine better ways of living. Their courage in challenging traditional beliefs opened pathways to knowledge that seemed impossible. Every scientific discovery, every democratic reform, every artistic breakthrough, builds upon foundations they laid. The marble columns may crumble, and the sacred groves may wither, but the ideas born in ancient Greece possess immortal life. They live in every classroom where students learn to think critically, every laboratory where researchers seek truth, every courtroom where justice is pursued. The Greeks' greatest legacy is not their monuments, but their revolutionary faith in human potential. Rest now in the eternal wisdom that flows like a clear stream from ancient springs, carrying the pure water of truth across centuries. The philosophical dawn that broke over Greece continues illuminating minds that seek understanding, beauty, and the examined life that Socrates proclaimed as humanity's highest calling. Breathe slowly, and let the timeless wisdom of ancient Greece guide your dreams toward truth, beauty, and the endless possibility of human flourishing. And so our peaceful journey through ancient Greece draws to its gentle close. As your breathing deepens and your body settles into perfect rest, let us reflect together on the 20 sacred places we have visited, each one a window into the timeless wisdom that continues to illuminate our world. We began atop the sacred Acropolis, where Pericles' vision of democratic ideals took shape in gleaming marble. The Parthenon's perfect proportions reminded us that beauty itself can be a form of worship, connecting human aspiration to divine perfection. From those sacred heights, we descended to discover the oracle at Delphi. where Apollo's priestess whispered, "Know thyself," that fundamental insight that launched the entire philosophical tradition. Feel your muscles relaxing completely, as we remember our visit to ancient Olympia, birthplace of the Olympic Games, where human excellence was celebrated every 4 years in sacred competition. The olive wreaths that crowned victorious athletes taught us that simple recognition often means more than material rewards. In the Athenian Agora, we walked where Socrates questioned, where Plato taught, where democracy first flourished in spirited debate among engaged citizens. Let your breathing become even slower, deeper, as you recall the mysterious palace of Knossos, where Minoan civilization created Europe's first flush toilets and celebrated the beauty of dolphins dancing on painted walls. At Mycenae, we discovered Agamemnon's golden treasures, reminders of a heroic age when honor meant more than life itself. The perfect acoustics of Epidaurus demonstrated how the Greeks understood that healing required harmony of body, mind, and spirit. Your eyelids are growing heavy now, as we remember sailing to sacred Delos, the island of light where Apollo was born, its marble lions still guarding the birthplace of art and prophecy. The monasteries of Meteora showed us how Byzantine Greeks carried ancient wisdom into the medieval world, building their prayers in stone closer to heaven. Santorini's volcanic beauty reminded us that even destruction can create landscapes of incomparable magnificence. Feel yourself drifting deeper into peaceful rest, as you recall the Library of Alexandria, where Greek scholars preserved humanity's accumulated knowledge, and the wealthy crossroads of Corinth, where ideas flowed as freely as merchandise between two seas. Sparta's austere warriors taught us that true strength comes from discipline and sacrifice for higher ideals, while Rhodes' mighty Colossus welcomed ships with bronze arms that seemed to embrace the world. Your body is completely relaxed now, sinking deeper into comfort, as we remember the sacred mysteries of Eleusis, where initiates learned that death is merely a doorway to renewed existence. Vergina's golden treasures revealed the wealth and sophistication of Macedonia's royal court, while Cape Sounion's clifftop temple showed us how the Greeks found the divine in nature's most sublime moments. Let yourself drift even deeper, as you recall Dodana's whispering oak, where Zeus spoke through rustling leaves to anyone who listened carefully. These 20 sacred places, scattered across the Greek world, created a civilization that gave humanity its most precious gifts. The Greeks first taught us to question rather than merely accept, to seek truth through reason rather than superstition, to believe that human beings could govern themselves through democratic participation. They showed us that beauty was not luxury but necessity, that art could elevate the human spirit toward divine understanding. Their theaters explored the depths of human nature. Their philosophy examined the meaning of existence. Their mathematics revealed the hidden harmonies that govern the cosmos. Feel your mind becoming beautifully quiet as you contemplate this extraordinary legacy. Every time you vote in an election, you participate in democracy that began in the Athenian Agora. Every time you question an assumption, you follow Socrates' revolutionary method. Every time you appreciate beauty in art or nature, you experience the aesthetic insights that Greek artists first discovered. Their medical ethics still guide physicians. Their dramatic insights still move audiences to tears. Their architectural principles still create buildings that inspire wonder. The Olympic Games continue celebrating human excellence in peaceful competition, while universities worldwide follow educational models first established in Plato's Academy. Your breathing is now perfectly peaceful, perfectly natural, as you rest in the profound gratitude we owe these ancient seekers. They believed that human beings could transcend their limitations through knowledge, courage, and the endless pursuit of excellence. This revolutionary optimism about human potential, born in Greek city-states 25 centuries ago, continues inspiring every generation that dares to dream of a better world. Let the marble columns fade gently from your awareness. Let the sacred groves dissolve into peaceful darkness, but carry with you always the timeless wisdom we discovered together. The Greeks' greatest gift was not their monuments but their ideas, not their gold but their insights into the eternal questions that define human existence. Rest now in the serene knowledge that you are heir to this magnificent legacy, that the same spark of curiosity and creativity that illuminated ancient Greece burns within your own heart. The philosophical dawn that broke over the Aegean continues brightening minds that seek truth, beauty, and the examined life. Feel yourself floating on gentle waves of wisdom, carried by currents of ancient knowledge toward the peaceful shores of sleep. The 20 secrets of Greek civilization become part of your dreams, their insights weaving through your rest like golden threads in a tapestry of understanding. The sacred light that once illuminated the Parthenon, the oracle's cave at Delphi, and the library of Alexandria, now glows softly within your peaceful mind, guiding you toward restorative slumber filled with the eternal beauty of Greek wisdom. Breathe deeply, one last time, and let the timeless legacy of ancient Greece carry you gently into dreams of marble temples, whispering oracles, and the endless human quest for truth and beauty. Good night.